The issue begins with the ambush on Radiant Black, but from Nathan's perspective. Nathan drags a worried cigarette when Wendell, aka Radiant Yellow, drives up behind him. Wendell says, he's right you don't have to do it alone, and implores Nathan to get in. Wendell properly introduces himself and says he's here to make sure Nathan survives the night. Nathan's confusion has Wendell understand that he's a bit early. As he says this, the robot reaches out to Nathan, which is enough for him to get into the car. As Radiant Yellow drives, Nathan talks with the robot in existence.
Your friend is deceased.
Soon.
For the duration of your life, you are part of existence. Your assistance is required. Will you do all that is required?
Sync.
You will not do this alone.
Nathan asks with a smile if this means the robot wants him to be Radiant Black again, and the robot says probably my favorite line in the series.
No, Nathan. You already are.
Nathan returns from existence, shocked that Radiant Yellow predicted what the robot told him. Yellow responds it's because he just told him as he holds a whoopee cushion in his hand and asks Nathan for a hammer. Nathan asks if Yellow can see the future, and he replies,
We all do, a little. The ice caps are melting, Christmas comes once a year, once out of every 2 marriages ends in divorce. It's patterns and probability. I just see my potential results and past clearer. Like memory, but backwards. Kind of. The big things, war, death, pandemics, I'm not sure if they can be changed. Too complicated, too many variables. But there's these blurry spots. It's like when you have a word on the tip of your tongue, but it's a word you haven't learned yet. Those moments, anything seems possible. Anything seems changeable. Blurry. This is one of those moments, Nathan. Sometimes one person can change the future. Well, a future. This is your stop. Go save the day, Radiant Black.
Nathan then transforms once again into Radiant Black. Radiant Black flies off and Yellow checks in on the future and adjusts his car a bit forward. We cut back to right now and Radiant Black questions why Shift is not surprised to see him. Mecca comes out of the water and we get a flashback panel of Riley bringing up the possibility of the other Radiants or Rogue Sun showing up. Riley convinces Shift that they need a contingency plan. Back to the present, Shift sighs that Riley was right and yells a code word. Mecca charges at Radiant Black and ignores the attempted gravity hold. Mecca rockets into Radiant Black, which frees the others. Shift tells Doppler to transport Marshall's body while Shift and company distract the attacker. Doppler tries to tell Shift that Marshall's dying, but Shift says he doesn't care and just wants Doppler to find a vantage point once the body is secure. We cut to the car Yellow was driving as Nathan lands on it. He gets up and flies at Mecca only to get backhanded. Nathan hurls a car at him, but the robot suit is unscathed. Riley taunts that it would take the energy of a small quasar to dent the suit, and that Nathan should just hand over the Radiant or die. Nathan says no and launches Mecca by picking up the ground beneath him. Axel and Shear then ride in to take on Radiant Black. On the next page, Doppler takes Marshall behind a truck. She absorbs the sound of the sirens and cushions Marshall onto the grass. Marshall regains consciousness, but still coughs up blood. Anja lets him know that the others are dealing with the other Radiant Black. Marshall puts together that she means Nathan. He tries getting up and Anja reasons with him to stay down because of his condition. Marshall tells Anja that she once asked him what he stands for. He says he's still not sure himself, but what's the point of standing for something if you can't even help the people you care most about? We cut back to Nathan keeping his distance and lying down suppressing fire. Shift radios Doppler to take out Radiant Black. Doppler lies that her tech took some damage and needs a minute. Shift tells Nathan that Marshall was stupid for turning down their offer and for him to be smarter. Just then, Mecca grabs Radiant Black's leg and throws him to the ground. Radiant Black gets out of the way before Mecca could crush him, saying they won't even let him say no to their offer. Back to the bell tower, Radiant Yellow approaches Anja. Yellow tells her he's not there to fight or to even convince her to do the right thing because he already knows that she will, and is just going to give her the hammer. Anja uses the hammer to strike the bell and send a discombobulating ding that puts down everyone and shuts down Mecca's suit. The Radiant Black suit recedes as Shift approaches Nathan with a sword. Before Shift can bring down his blade, he steps on a whoopee cushion that alerts Nathan. The small interruption is just enough time for Radiant Black to fly in and save Nathan. Nathan knows it's Marshall, and the two rush to tag team Shift by swapping back and forth being Radiant Black. Shift is brought to his knees, and Nathan and Marshall go halvesies to give Shift one whole knockout. With Mecca out of commission, Riley gets out of the suit and we get a flashback panel of Riley and Schiff discussing the what-if scenario of a failed mission. On the next page, Riley pulls out a detonator and presses it. He gives a speech that he and Jace used to work for Morrow as engineers until he messed up on something and was fired for it. Jace, being a real one, quit and the two started their DIY YouTube channel. Marshall and Nathan have a confused look on them trying to figure out what it is that Riley did. We see Shear's drone turn on and emit a signal. All screens in the vicinity receive a signal and a billboard tells us Riley has leaked documents about the alien technology of 001 to the public. The fight is officially over and the Fab Five scramble to get away. Riley is apprehended, Schiff teleports, and Shear and Axel make a break for a getaway truck. The truck won't start, however, as we see its tank was siphoned, courtesy of Radiant Yellow. Sometime later, Nathan and Marshall talk about sharing the Radiant now. Nathan laments using the Radiant despite saying it was Marshall's thing. Marshall replies he can't even imagine being mad about anything after getting his life saved. They decide it makes sense to just share it, since they did find it together. The conversation reminds Nathan about Wendell. On the next page, we see Wendell at a bus station when Nathan catches up to him and apologizes for the wrecked car. Wendell says it was necessary, otherwise Nathan wouldn't have gotten up in time. Wendell goes on to apologize for being unable to save Marshall's life. Nathan is confused and says Marshall is fine and the two are actually just going to share the Radiant. Wendell has a look of horror on his face, muttering that wasn't the expected outcome. Nathan says he'd give Wendell a ride home, but figured he's at the bus stop for a reason and flies off. We end this issue on a harrowing note that Wendell's final words are, "This is wrong. He's going to kill us all." Okay, putting aside that last panel for a bit, I was so hyped reading these last two issues. Nathan came back, Radiant Yellow can see the future, a 1v5 turning into a 2v5, and Nathan and Marshall wombo comboing Shift. It was good eating all around. Now, to get back to the ending bit, I'm fully convinced it's Marshall who's going to turn into the Radiant Omen that we saw back in Supermassive. Wendell's look of horror gave me the idea that Marshall is going to be responsible for a catastrophic war based on what we saw in issue 7, his vision in Supermassive, and his outburst in issue 14. If not directly responsible as the aggressor, he may be responsible for unleashing the one who is. I'd hate to end on that note, so instead I'll say I hope Wendell's wrong about Marshall. When the time comes, I hope Nathan and Marshall work together to combat this enemy instead of fighting each other. Well, thank you for watching, guys.